Holy macaroni. It has been a while. Hello. It is Wednesday, I think. And I have a few minutes before I am going to go work out, do some cycle in a sauna. And I have been thinking about this for over a week now, and I just need to get it off my chest, so I'm gonna. But as you get on, say hello. If you've never seen me before, give me like a hashtag newbie or something. I put this in my group, all the things. But I was watching a interview with Demi Lovato and Ashley Graham the other day. Demi Lovato just came out with a song the other day called I Love Me, and it is the song that I didn't know I needed, and it's incredible, and it just basically explains everything that pretty much every woman goes through, I'm pretty sure. But in the interview, she talked about how she's always been told to just power through. And if you know anything about Demi Lovato, number one, she can sing her ass off. Number two, she is a recovering addict, and not very long ago almost died because she relapsed. And the whole point of the interview was her talking about how she was coming back out of that, and how she has released an album and kept herself healthy in even more ways than she did in her 6 years of sobriety before her relapse. And she said the one thing that always stuck in her head that one of her friends would always say was just power through. Just power through. You just got to power through. You just got to keep going. You just got to do it anyway. It's going to be hard. You just got to power through. And that would constantly go through her head. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, growing up, we constantly had coaches that would tell us, keep going, you got to power through it. It's going to be hard. Keep going. You got to power through it. But to what point do you power through? Yes, you need to push your limits to ever be able to grow, but people are literally pushing themselves to their breaking point. And it is pissing me off and making me so sad that people are putting themselves in these situations because they feel like they have to be strong and power through things. So I'm going to kind of make it a metaphor with a marathon for some reason, but that's just what comes to my head. You cannot run a full marathon just with pure will. You could, but you're going to want to die the next day, or you're going to die trying to do that. You have to train. You have to train your body every day a little bit more and a little bit more to be able to get up to the point of being able to run a marathon. If there's anybody that runs marathons on here, celebrate yourself, because that's an insane accomplishment. But you can't go from sitting on the couch to running a full marathon the next day just by telling yourself, oh, we're going to power through. We're going to power through. You're going to get blisters. Your feet are going to bleed. Your knees are going to hurt like hell. You're gonna want to die the next day. And are you ever gonna want to run again? Probably not, because not only are you having to train your body to be able to work up to that kind of endurance and strength, it's a mental game too. So if you wouldn't try to run a marathon tomorrow, why are you trying to push yourself through things that are happening in your life that are really emotional and deep and hard, and just telling yourself that everything's fine, everything's normal, this is okay, this is fine, this is only the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life, the biggest devastation that's ever happened in my life, the biggest loss that's ever happened in my life, and I'm gonna go back to work tomorrow and act like everything's fine and dandy and I'm strong, and I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going with life. I honestly have been so bad at this in my life. People have forced me to take just days off to take care of myself because I have been through the ringer in my life. Let's just be honest. The freaking ringer. And in my head, I'm supposed to be strong. I don't know where that came from, but strong meant not emotional and not showing that you're struggling ever. And that's bullshit. The perception of perfection that goes around is hard to mentally overcome because you feel like you're supposed to be this strong, beautiful, badass boss all the time. And that's just not what happens. Sometimes being a badass woman means understanding your emotions and understanding what's going on in your head and understanding where your boundaries lie and knowing when you are somehow receiving and being okay with less than you deserve. And I'm just going to tell you, after I went through some of the hardest things in my life, I probably didn't cry for 2 years because I told myself that if it wasn't as bad as watching my mom die, then I didn't deserve my tears. And that's crap, because there are always going to be things that there are always going to be things that you struggle with. Everybody is going to struggle with something, probably on a daily basis. And the more that you hide your emotions and shove them under the rug, the closer you're going to get to breakdown. Giving your best every day doesn't mean giving everything you have until you break down. Giving your best requires you filling yourself back up with things and taking time to yourself. I was walking through Target the other day, and this group of teenagers walked by, and they were like, dude, where were you at school today? He was like, I took a mental health day. I just couldn't today. And there's no telling what this teenager is actually going through. But to know that people are okay with maybe even getting in trouble for taking a mental health day is amazing to me. Like, I wanted to give that dude a high five. And he was like, I may or may not go to school tomorrow, depending on how the situation plays out, because it's just not good for my brain. And I was like, yes! Thank you for saying that to your friends right now. Because I cannot tell you how many times in school the attendance rules or whatever made me miserable because I was going through things. Like when I lost my granddad in high school, I wasn't even barely a functioning human, but I went to school because I was supposed to be there. And it sucked. Let me just tell you, this last week, and some of y'all may not know my story. No, show those struggles, ask for help. Yes, the people who truly love you will still be there. Always. Vulnerability is absolutely the key. Let me tell you a story. Last week, the house that I shared with my ex-husband sold, and we had a contract at the beginning of the month, but I moved out last week. We closed on it last week, and I moved into a new house, which I'm super grateful for and I'm super excited about. But everything I packed, everything I touched had a different memory attached to it. And this entire process, the entire process of divorce is emotional. The entire process of watching my children go back and forth is emotional. And I had the best help. My dad and my wonderful boyfriend helped me, and some other people too, helped me get moved into my new house. And I was just, the whole thing was overwhelming. I don't know if you noticed, but I haven't been on Facebook hardly at all. I haven't posted anything hardly at all because I was dealing with my own shit, and I was diving in and really understanding what I was feeling about everything. And I allowed myself to feel it. And the thing is that I'm not just going to react like I used to, because I used to let everything build up and build up and build up and build up and just be like, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, that's fine. Oh, I'm cool. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And I wouldn't talk about it. And I can't tell you how many times I broke down last week and cried. Not necessarily in front of people every time, but I used to not even let myself cry. And I feel like, yes, my dad is He's amazing. You're right. But I used to not let myself feel emotion. I used to not let myself cry, because I had to power through. I had to get through it. I had to get to the other side. And it was funny because the people that are used to the way that I handle things were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not okay. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay that I'm not okay. And here I am, trying to work through it. Like, why is packing this one thing upsetting me so much? Why is it so hard to walk out of this house right now? The last time that I walked out of our house was hard. And I cried because there were so many memories attached to it, and so many things that are starting over, and so many things that I am going to still have to do to get through this emotionally, physically, financially, everything. And it's a lot. And people who pretend that it's not a lot can shove it, because it is. And people that try to console other people that are going through emotional things with, "You just got to do what you got to do. You got to power through. You're going to have to get through it anyway. You're just going to have to keep going." They mean well. I feel like they really, really mean well. But for people who are going through mentally hard things, that is the worst thing you can say. Instead, try, what's hurting right now? How are you feeling right now? What can I do for you right now? Do you need a break? Those kinds of things are the most helpful things you can say to someone going through an emotional roller coaster. And I cannot even tell you the support that I have gotten from my boyfriend. And I know that I haven't dove into this a lot, but I cannot wait to share with you the difference between before in my relationships and now, because of the work that I've done on myself. I got overwhelmed. My dog pissed me off the other day, and I allowed myself to actually figure out what was wrong. So my dog pissed me off, and I just started bawling. And I knew that my dog doing this growling at another dog wasn't really what was wrong with me. I was like, why am I crying about my dog? Melanie, you're not crying about your dog. You're crying about all of the things that have piled up that you haven't necessarily worked through this week. So I went to bed early. I cried a little bit, and I talked to my boyfriend what was going on. And through being able to get that out and being vulnerable, I was able to heal a little bit. And I honestly believe that healing is something that is continual. There are always going to be triggers and things that set you off, and that just means that you have a little bit more healing to do in that area. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. And I think it means you're stronger being able to get through emotional things, feeling them. It takes courage to feel, y'all. It takes bravery to feel hurt and pain and sadness and be okay with it. If y'all have never seen the movie Inside Out, I think it's a Pixar movie, Inside Out, go watch it. It really, 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 really does an amazing job of showing how all of your emotions have a place, and all of them deserve to be acknowledged, because that shows who you are. And the more vulnerable you are, the most vulnerable things that you share, the scariest things to share, are the biggest parts of you. And if you continually hide them and don't share them with the world, whether it's joy, sadness, happiness, whatever, the more that you're faking it. And faking it till you make it is a bullshit line, because you can't. Don't feed yourself lies. Accept yourself as you are and go with it. Because powering through, telling yourself everything's fine and perfect and dandy, is only going to lead to breakdown. And sometimes when you break down, you have so much shit to sift through that you don't even know where to start. But if you do it a little bit at a time, that sadness and that sorrow will shine, make the joy shine even brighter every single day, because you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable, and you've allowed yourself to see that even though you may be grieving, maybe you're dealing with a loss, maybe you're going through something that you wish you weren't, but just know all that's doing is building your ability to see beauty in everything that's good. So, love yourself today. Do a mental health check on yourself. Like, how am I feeling? Am I feeling kind of pissy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling happy? Am I focusing on one little thing that happened today and eliminating all of the good? How are you today? Post it in the comments. Let's start a conversation, because I want to be there for you if you're going through something. And I love your guys' support and love too. So if you need to talk about something, I'm here always. I just had to get this off of my chest. Don't tell yourself to power through if you're on the verge of breakdown. You're not going to run a marathon tomorrow if you haven't trained for it. You have to train your brain for emotional things that happen, just like you have to train your brain for physical things to get through them. Push yourself a little bit, though. You have to push yourself for either one. Push yourself physically to get closer and closer to your goals. You have to push yourself mentally to get closer and closer to your mental health goals, to being happy, to choosing joy. It's hard some days, but you have to allow yourself to feel. Don't hide it. You're beautiful. I love you. I'll see you so soon. Happy Wednesday.